Just a few more days until Samsung's big Unpacked event, and the Galaxy S26 lineup will be revealed. And until then, welcome to the final leaks rumors on the S26, covering everything that's currently publicly known about the S26 lineup, from the display, the cameras, the performance, the battery life, and all the smaller upgrades in between. So, get your snacks ready, get comfortable, and let's dive in. First off, we have the design of the S26, the S26 Plus, and the S26 Ultra, this year's lineup. And here we've had a bunch of fresh leaks and renders that show a familiar yet refined design. Basically, these renders look very similar to last year's S25 lineup, but now there's a camera plateau around the main camera modules, similar to the Z Fold 7's design. We may also get some new colors that were first leaked by a Russian retailer's website. These are said to be white, black, sky blue, and the hero color of the S26 Ultra, Cobalt Violet. And according to Evan Blast, also known as EveLeaks, the regular S26 and the S26 Plus will also be getting these same colors. He also mentioned that we'll get 2 new exclusive colors on the Samsung online store, and these would be Silver Shadow and Pink Gold. Also, notice how none of these color leaks have titanium in their name, like last year. Well, that's because Samsung may be dropping titanium in favor of aluminium. We've also had the S Pen leaked, and apparently, just like last year, it may only come in 2 colors, this time black and white, with the tip being the one actually matching the color of the phone. As for the thickness and the weight of these devices, Android Authority is reporting a weight of only 137 grams for the base S26, while keeping the same thickness of 7.2 millimeters. That rumored weight is pretty insane, although I do find it hard to believe because it would make it lighter than the S25 Edge and lighter than even the iPhone 13 mini. Then the S26 Plus is rumored to have a weight of around 190 grams and a thickness of 7.3 millimeters, basically identical to the S25 Plus, while the S26 Ultra is said to be getting thinner according to Android headlines at only 7.8 millimeters thin as opposed to 8.2 like last year. It's also said to be a bit lighter at 240 grams instead of 218 like on the S25 Ultra. All in all, the design isn't changing much, but I actually don't mind that, as I do believe the S25's lineup design was actually very good with that new flat frame that made it so easy to grip, and now that design is even more refined. Then we have the display changes. According to Gizmo China, the regular S26 may be going up from 6.2 inches to 6.27, which Samsung is rumored to market as 6.3. Although this is likely just a reduction in the bezel thickness without the device necessarily getting bigger, similar to what Apple did with the iPhone 17 compared to the iPhone 16. Then the S26 Plus is likely to come with the same exact display as last year at 6.7 inches according to Ice Universe. But the S26 Ultra is where the big changes are expected because it may come with a bunch of upgrades, such as the new generation of OLED panel, the M14. According to Ice Universe on X, this would enable a much higher brightness, up to 2600 nits full peak brightness, and close to 6000 nits of localized peak brightness in HDR. This new Samsung display is apparently being called the Everest display, something that actually debuted already on the Vivo IQ0015. But really, the highlighting display feature is rumored to be the new privacy screen. Samsung has already showcased a prototype a few months ago with this exact same feature. They're calling it Flex Magic Pixel, and it honestly seems to work like magic. It's a privacy screen that's built into the phone. This feature has also been spotted in One UI 8.5 by Android Authority, where it is clearly showcased, and also the way it works. And the best part, apparently you'll be able to toggle it on and off. And it doesn't stop there, because based on another leak from Ice Universe on X, you won't have to make the entire display private. Instead, you could just enable privacy mode for a portion of the screen, for example, only the top portion or even just your incoming notifications. This is truly amazing, and if all of this ends up being real, I would probably keep it enabled all the time for notifications, and beyond that, I would probably use it for all of my banking apps, password managers, or anything that contains sensitive info. It just makes so much sense. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to go back to a normal screen if it's as good as the leaks are saying it to be. And in my opinion, this is really the highlight feature of the S26 Ultra. So what about performance? Well, all 3 devices are set to come with a brand new Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip. Qualcomm almost practically confirmed this with a new post on X. And of course, Samsung is more than likely going to be using the overclocked 4 Galaxy version of this chip. This is specifically designed for Samsung to be using in their highest-end devices, and if the leaks are true, these chips would be even faster than the standard 8 Elite Gen 5. and also faster than the A19 Pro inside Apple's iPhone 17 Pro Max. Although in certain regions, we may be seeing Samsung's own Exynos 2600 powering the S26 and the S26 Plus, according to Android headlines. And based on this leaked datasheet, the standard starting RAM will be 12 GB of RAM on all models, while the S26 Ultra may be able to go up to 16 for the higher storage configurations. Speaking of storage, we may see the base storage of the S26 increase to 256 from 128, according to 9to5Google, while the Plus and Ultra would still start at 256, and up to 1 TB on the Ultra. So all in all, thanks to the new A to Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy chip, I think there's a really good chance that we'll have the best possible performance ever seen in an Android phone on the S26 Ultra. And I'm very much looking forward to that. But before we get into more S26 leaks, these concepts actually feature our very latest wallpapers pack, Chromatic Capsules by Artifacts, which looks incredible on either Android or iOS. Dropping soon is also Tranquil Terrain by Chatham, a minimalist landscape pack which looks so clean on all of your devices. So get each style in 1x1 8K quality by checking out wallpapers on iOS and Android using the links below. So what about the cameras? Are there any notable changes here? Well, let's start with the S26 and the S26 Plus, because according to most leaks, including this spec sheet from earlier, the cameras are set to remain the same as last year's S25 and S25 Plus. That's a 50 megapixel main camera with a 1/1.56 inch sensor, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide with a 1/2.55 inch sensor, and a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto module with a crazy small 1/3.94 inch sensor. The S26 Ultra, on the other hand, may be seeing some upgrades and some downgrades as well. According to ZONEofTECH, the first upgrade is a much bigger aperture on the main 200 megapixel sensor, going up from f1.7 to f1.4. Although the sensor is still set to remain the same, the ISOCELL HP2 that we've had ever since the S23 Ultra. The second upgrade is rumored to be a larger aperture for the 5x telephoto module, going from f3.4 to f2.9. Also keeping the same 1/2.52 inch sensor size. Both of these larger apertures will allow for better lower light performance and also more natural depth of field when you take portraits or close-up shots. The downgrade? Well, ICUniverse is saying that already poor 3x telephoto module with a 1/3.52 inch sensor may actually be getting even smaller at 1/3.94. That to me would actually make a lot of sense, because that's the same sensor that Samsung already uses on the S25, the S25 Plus, and the Z Fold 7. So Samsung just reusing that part does make a lot of sense to me. Although it's still very disappointing, as that sensor is crazy small and incredibly poor in low light. Oftentimes, just using the main module and cropping it digitally to 3x will actually give you a better result. So my guess is that Samsung's only keeping that module there for the sake of keeping the back design consistent. Aside from this, we may also see the ability to shoot 24 megapixel photos, in addition to the already available 12, 50, and 200 megapixel modes. And even though the main sensor is said to be unchanged from last year, this new 24 megapixel mode may only come to the S26 Ultra series, as mentioned by ICUniverse. And on top of this, we may also see a new APV codec for video recording, again reported by ICUniverse on X. This could be Samsung's answer to Apple's ProRes, adding LUT support, 444 chroma subsampling, and 12-bit color depth, all while being around 20% more storage efficient compared to Apple's codec. So what about any special features? Well, I honestly think that privacy screen is one of the most impressive features on any phone in years. But I guess apart from that, we may also see satellite connectivity or emergency SOS, according to Sam Mobile. So if you're hiking somewhere off-grid and you're not close to civilization and something goes wrong, this feature can help you reach the emergency services. We've also had leaked images of Samsung's new magnetic wireless charger, which looks very similar to Apple's MagSafe and Google's Pixel Snap chargers. It's rumored to support up to 25 watts of charging and also the Qi 2 standard, with Samsung recommending a 45 watt or higher power adapter. And it looks like devices like the S25 and the Z Fold 7 would still work, but they will be capped to 15 watts. Now, you may think that this confirms built-in magnets for the S26 lineup. Well, not quite, because this box leak literally states that you will need a Qi 2 ready case, meaning that the magnets are in the case and not the phone itself. And speaking of charging, we may also see a few upgrades when it comes to the battery. To keep it short, the S26 is rumored to increase from 4,000 to 4,300 according to Phone Arena. The S26 Plus is said to remain the same at 4,900, and the Ultra may finally jump from 5,000 to 5,200 according to Momentary Digital and Weibo. Although the spec sheet mentioned earlier, that one still quotes 5,000 on the S26 Ultra, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Although there's still no mention of any silicon carbon battery tech, which is a bit disappointing. But honestly, even if the capacity gains are modest, the efficiency improvements from the chip and the software optimizations alone should still improve the battery life compared to the S25 Ultra. Plus, we're also said to be getting some charging improvements, potentially moving from 45 watts to 60 watts according to Tech Radar. So when is the S26 series set to come out? Well, Samsung have officially announced the Galaxy Unpacked event, which is on the 25th of February. There's even a timer on the website. Of course, there's no official confirmation of whether this Unpacked event would be specifically about the S26 lineup, but since Samsung's own ads have been teasing the redesigned camera module, and we pretty much always get a new S lineup in January or February, I think it's very likely that this Unpacked event will be all about the S26. As for when the models will be going on sale, I would expect about 1 to 2 weeks after Unpacked, judging by prior years. And lastly, let's talk pricing. The good news is that Samsung is planning on keeping the exact same price as last year, according to IC Universe on X. However, we've also had a report from a Greek publication, TechManiacs, that mentioned that Samsung may actually be increasing the prices for the S26 and the S26 Plus slightly, while the S26 Ultra will apparently remain the same. And of course, we don't really know if this will be for Greece, or Europe, or worldwide, so yeah, do take all this with a grain of salt. Now, if the pricing does remain the same as last year, then we should see the S26 start from $799, the S26 Plus from $999, and then the S26 Ultra at $1299. Only this time, all three models would begin with 256GB of storage. So that's about everything we have for the S26 lineup. Also, a quick reminder that everything we covered in this video is based on leaks, rumors, and information that's currently available online. Nothing is of course officially confirmed until Samsung makes the announcement. And of course, a lot can still change, so do subscribe to the channel as we will be making way more videos after Unpacked has concluded. And speaking of Unpacked, I will actually be attending the Samsung Unpacked event myself, which I'm crazy excited for, so if you're also coming, then I'll see you there, and if you're not, then stay tuned to the channel for more Unpacked videos. I'm Daniel, this is ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.